There are those who speak and those who listen. But every so often, someone shows up who does both with uncommon purpose and an open notebook in hand. Nicole Banks is a power connector, a woman whose network doesn't just span industries, it sparks movements. For more than 2 decades, she's solved problems others run from, built what others said couldn't be done, and highlighted the wisdom of giants, one page at a time. This is Nicole's Business Notebook, a curated circle of brilliance, a behind-the-scenes pass to the strategies, stories, and secrets shared by the experts she calls friends. It's not just a show, it's a blueprint for those bold enough to build. So settle in, because the notebook is open.
Hi, this is Nicole Banks with Nicole's Business Notebook. I bring my business friends together so that we can all learn from their experience and wisdom so that we can all do better business together. This week I have CJ O'Hara, our favorite magician, here to talk about all things magic, his experience, and maybe what entrepreneurs could learn from him in doing magic. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
for great things. So I'm excited to be here.
Amazing. So let's start at the beginning. Obviously you probably have had some other, jobs and that whole thing, but let's start for the love of magic.
Sure.
Where did that start?
That started, I'm a child of the late 80s, early 90s. So when David Copperfield was on television, it was the world's greatest magic special. Mm-hmm. And it was suddenly magic was brought into everyone's living room. A lot of my heroes, in fact, still my current heroes, they're old now, obviously, but they were on there. People like Bill Malone, Juan Tamariz, who did the trick with the car and the cards. Very famous trick now. And then, of course, David Copperfield. That's what truly inspired me. I saw him perform huge illusions and even a close-up trick on TV. And I was hooked. And I said, I have to do this. A little social, awkward me has to do this.
That's amazing. So, magic is, something that people have their preconceived notions about and that whole thing. So, talk to me about being that social awkward kid and then learning magic and then, being the limelight. I'm sure that was quite a transition.
Very much, very much. I am, as my mother and wife will tell you, a performer, a big old ham when it comes to the spotlight, but I wasn't always that devastatingly handsome and talented. Mm-hmm. You have to work for it. Yep. But no, I started out being very socially awkward, and then I took up the piano, and that really helped me kind of get into the groove of being in social situations where I could just be at the piano and play and help me make some friends. And then I brought out a deck of cards or a coin. Mm-hmm. And I learned that if you can fool your peers, you suddenly become the talk of the town for a couple minutes. And that did not hurt. It's funny because during my family shows that I do, I have a trick with silks, specially designed to tell that story of seeing David Copperfield and the awkward 9-year-old magician and how magic brings people together, all ages, all languages, everything. So that's kind of been my journey from that awkward 9-year-old to the awkward 44-year-old that I am. Awkward never goes away, but we try to fake it as best we can. But there's nothing like the feeling of taking out a deck of cards or even a couple sponge balls or something like that and having a small crowd around you and you do some fun magic. Everyone's day is brightened and everyone, the reaction. It's just, I love it. I just love it so much.
That's amazing. As a fellow piano nerd myself, I get that transition and trying to do the recitals and all that. My mom is a classically trained pianist. She used that for me as a way of getting me to read. I can't teach you how to play piano until you know how to read.
Oh, there you go.
So, she got me young.
There
I was
you
4 years old and already trying to get the chapter books in so that she'd teach me the next lesson. So, I hammed that up 100%. Yeah. So.
And the piano teaches you practice and discipline. And having the ADHD that I know so many of us have, focusing is a pain in the butt. Yeah. And piano taught me the discipline, the skill to read the music, apply it here, and then to do the pedal, to do the two hands, the reading, the page, that teaches you the hand-eye coordination and being able to multitask fluently. Mm-hmm. That transition right over to magic, where I have to learn a routine, practice the slides, talk to people, come up with a story, all this while people are staring at me and expecting me to be amazing. They all go hand in hand. And piano's been my piano's been the greatest thing to help with the magic. And, I've taught piano for years, and it all crosses over. It all, one thing helps each other.
I love that. So has magic been your main hustle? Has it been a side hustle? Like, how do you come to making magic part of your job?
Excellent question. I did magic for fun. Gimmicks, the fake packs of cards, the fake coins. I did those for a while, but in reality, my degree is in music. I have an undergraduate degree in music education, and I taught public and private schools on the East Coast, and I had a blast. I played piano. I'm also a trumpet player and a guitarist, and I conducted, and I did, a lot of musical activities. So during the music teaching, which was my main gig, that's, what brought in the money, I would do magic to build rapport with the kids and my students. So that just kind of grew. And then I moved out here about 10 years ago, and I really wanted to push the magic. I still, teach music a little bit, but I really wanted to do magic as my full-time gig. And thankfully, in the past couple of years, I've been lucky enough to make it my full-time gig. So it went from music and magic to now magic and music. And we have so much fun. It's performing and practice. That's what it is.
I love that. So let's focus on the music stuff, because that's something that you and I
Sure.
have in common. So what do you think that an entrepreneur can learn from a musician?
Focus, no matter how much your brain will fight you, and practice techniques, and a little bit of discipline along there. I am horrible at all three, but I got I have an app on my phone. I think it's called Noisely, and it turns on brown noise. And I put my AirPods in, and I micro-focus. Turn that on. I have a little Pomodoro timer. I just learned about this, where you just put it on the side and it clocks you for 25 minutes. Yep. And you tell your brain you're going to do focused work. And I also have a meditation app. I think it's called Calm. My wife recommended it to me. And it's wonderful. It has like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I listen to that in a perfect world. I listen to that. I turn on the timer. I turn on the noise, and I work. And 25 minutes, I get what I can get done, and then I take a big break. I do like 10 minutes off, but that works on piano, that works on magic, that works on contracts and paperwork, because that's 80% of what I have to do is contracts and leads and websites and all that in order to get to the magic gigs. But music trained me to do that.
I love that.
Practicing the piano, breaking that big classical piece or that show tune or whatever was down into 4-measure segments, and then writing in all the fingering and edits, and taking 4 measures at a time and then putting them together. Learning the procedure of practice and assembling things together has carried directly over into magic, because you take this big trick or even a small trick, and since there's a camera on me, even something as small as this, there's moves that you have to break down, okay? There's the ball going into the sponge. Okay, now the sponge going into the hand. Then everyone's watching there. No one's watching where the sponge ball actually is. Misdirection here, blow, gone. Then they're going to logically look over this hand, which is relaxed, and then you pull it out there. But this whole movement over to here takes years to get right. And a lot of time watching it, and the discipline and the focus to be able to go to a mirror and just do it over and over and over again. That all comes from music, from ripping the piece apart and doing it note by note, practicing over and over again until it's mindless. And then you can start adding the music to it, the performance to it. And then juries and all that. I'm sure you remember all that too well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about, music and that having that be a passion and that whole thing, I think teaching music is a lot different than, actually just being the person that plays the music. So let's delve into that.
Sure.
That's something that you and I also have in common. So, for you teaching music, were there any sort of mechanisms obviously you had the magic to build rapport, but what other things were successful for you when you were trying to teach music?
Understanding the psychology behind the learning, which also applies to magic, because when I have to walk into a room, I have to have a little bit of human psychology in the back of my mind to go, okay, that trick didn't work for you, let me switch, or you're not in the mood for it, or, the ability to walk up to a crowd and figure out how long you should stay. In terms of piano or music in general, is a person visual? Are they auditory? Do I engage with them on a tactile level, moving their fingers? Do I stand on the side of the room and go, okay, that was good? And is it more auditory coaching? Is it more just coaching by word, saying, okay, now go back to measure 45. I want that softer, and try to be smoother and doing that. So not everyone learns the same way. Not everyone experiences magic the same way. Not everyone's experiences like that are the same. So they all overlap together to make it a big, amazing art.
That's amazing. Yeah, in my experience when, teaching students, it really is about, kind of focusing on those small wins. Is something that, in those large pieces, when there's 3 movements in the whole thing and they get 16 scale, of compared to the whole piece, that's a small victory.
Absolutely.
And so kind of breaking it down and celebrating those wins along the way is something that I found to make it so that the student would stay engaged and wanting to, go through the whole, 3 movements and, the arpeggios and, the whole thing for, piano guilds and, recitals and different things like that. So
you need that little dopamine hit in there somewhere. I did that. I got that measure right. Excellent. Now let's put these 2 together. So I completely agree with you on the small victories, and they apply to music practice, music teaching, as well as what I do in magic, where I get an email. Can you do this gig? And when they sign the contract, yes, we won that on the calendar. Let's go do it. Let's keep moving along. And then that dopamine hit when everyone enjoyed the trick that you worked so hard on. You've been working on it for a year or a year and a half. More on my Instagram on that in about a week or 2. But you've been working so hard on that, and finally there's that reward that all right, the audience liked it, that worked, moving on. So I completely agree with you there. Yeah,
I love that. So, when you're talking about, contracts and that whole thing, just as my experience of you and the whole thing, you wouldn't necessarily think that, contracts are important and, all of these other sort of business processes. And each time I talk with you, you're like, yep, that's the stuff that I'm working on. That's the milieu. So even in the fun jobs, there's admin work.
Absolutely. I always tell people, people ask me, what's your job like? Mm-hmm. And I say, my job is 80% contracts, writing, getting gigs, getting leads. The other 20%, another 10% is practice. Lots and lots of practice, refining the show, and the other 10% is pretty much the performing of it. There's very little actually performing in what I do, sad to say.
Right.
But it's the getting of the leads and booking the leads. That is just about what I do. I spend most of my time doing that.
Which, is all the hustle for entrepreneurs.
It is. Oh, yeah.
The whole thing. So how do you stay motivated?
I look at my calendar and I look at the past calendars and I go, nice job. How can we do this better? How can we do this better? How can I streamline this? Okay. I look at my processes, and I love to overanalyze, as we all do.
Yep.
But right now I have spreadsheets, and I'm working on, my wife is working with me on the business, and we're working on streamlining everything as much as possible. So how do we get the leads? Is it a website lead through Google Ads? Is it a networking meeting lead? Is it someone that just called me? Okay. And move that to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. Each step's a little hit. Each time I go back and review everything and go, all right, how am I going to make this better? That's a little dopamine hit for me. That's a little reward there. And then when it works, we're good to go. Right. And I won't lie, there are days, like yesterday was one of them. Yesterday was a mentally frustrating day for me because I had a couple of lead declines for budgetary purposes and whatnot, so that didn't work out. I got one today, which I was happy about, but it was a mentally exhausting day, and I'm learning a new software package, and, I have contracts to write and a show to update, something to practice for, your show next Friday. I know, I'm so excited for that. But you're going to have those days.
Yep.
And they stink. I'm not going to lie, they stink.
Right.
But then you have days where you get a lead or 2, and it's a good lead, and you get to talk about what you do. Yep. And then when you get hired, it's like, yes. Right. So like you said, those little rewards, those little dopamine hits, they got to keep you going. And I also have, I won't lie, I use ChatGPT a lot for positive quotes, and sometimes I type in all right, I need a little bit of inspiration, and it throws a couple of fun, generic little cliche quotes at me. I'm like, all right, this is helping my future self. All right, fine, let's go. Fine, I'll do it, okay.
Yep.
And then my wife goes, good job, bravo.
Yep.
And we just keep cooking. You have to keep going.
Yep.
If you stop, you're going to stop.
Exactly.
You have to keep going. Even the tiniest scintilla of progress that you can make, if it takes you a week to do it, it's going to take you a week to do it. That tiny little thing, if you keep doing that, you're going to get somewhere.
I completely agree. I think momentum matters.
Momentum is everything.
Yep.
Absolutely everything. I study a lot of, I think it's James Clear that did Atomic Habits. Mm-hmm. And I hate self-help books with a passion of 1,000 suns. I think most of them are, I don't know what I can say on here, but most of them are bullshit.
Yes.
I'll put it bluntly. But he has this like 3-2-1 email that goes out every week. Mm-hmm. I normally don't like it, but his stuff is gold. Yeah. And he puts a lot of pressure on make it a habit. Make it a habit. You want to practice more guitar? You leave the guitar on your couch. Mm-hmm. So before you sit down and watch that TV program, you pick it up and you do it. 5 minutes a day? All right, you're already ahead of the class. Mm-hmm. You want to get out there and run? I happen to be a runner. Okay, start with a mile today. Or start with 50 feet. Right. And then it'll add up. And then you'll get into the habit of it. So I'm huge on habit building, habit stacking from that book. Yep. And those little dopamine hits that just get you through the day. Progress, progress, progress.
I love that. You know, for me, I mean, I have ADD too, so I think those dopamine hits are really something that people like us can really focus on, and those micro wins add up to be insane, yes. Monumentous, achievements.
Yeah.
But, if we didn't have those little, atta girls, atta boys there at the beginning and throughout the process, we're not going to stay engaged long enough to make those monumental things happen.
Absolutely, yes. And I happen to be very lucky. I married the woman of my dreams, and she's my business manager, my life partner, my coach, and everything. And she understands the way my brain works. And she's like, okay, nice job. Good. Can we fix this a little? Okay, great job. And keep going. She knows just how to... And she kicks my butt appropriately. She calls me on my stuff and appropriately, yep. But also just is the greatest coach I could ever ask for because she knows me that well and, pushes me even when I'm in a rut.
I love that.
Yeah.
Some people can work with their significant other, some people can't. Mm. So would you give any tips for prospective entrepreneurs who may want to or not want to work with their partner?
Absolutely. It depends on what kind of personality you two share. Mm-hmm. My wife is very detail-oriented, and she has a lot of strength. Very, very, very strong person. And I mean that in the highest of compliments. She's an amazing human. And I am scatterbrained, but I love to perform and I love to get out there and I'm a ham. She doesn't like the stage. She doesn't like the spotlight. Right. So she leaves that to me and I leave the details of the contracts and getting everything in the calendar and getting the phone numbers right. I leave that to her. She's fantastic at that. And learning how each other learns best and works best is the key to it. We're always learning it more. But instead of saying, hey, go figure this out, that's not going to work for either of us. But saying, okay, can you do this and this? Give it a bulleted list and it'll get done. And it'll get done with perfection and above.
I love that. I think it's really about focusing on talents.
Yes.
Everyone has their own strengths. And if you can find that complementary approach where your talents and their talents best merge and collaborate, that's the best of all worlds.
Yeah.
You got to have the patience, though, to get there.
And thankfully, she's the most patient human in history.
That's amazing.
I'm very lucky about that. I have no patience whatsoever. Same. Unless I'm teaching someone something, then... I enjoy when I teach voice, someone comes in there tone deaf. No real such thing. They just have trouble matching pitch because they have to learn what the notes are. And I'll sit down with someone for 2 hours and work on this one melodic line because that feeling that you get when they get that line and then they can start moving. I have plenty of patience for that. But stupidity and incompetence, Well, I went blunt there, didn't I?
Hey, you know what? It's wherever it lands. I mean, for me, it's traffic. So, same.
Yeah.
So,
that's what audiobooks for me are for. I turn on an audiobook. I love history.
Oh, there you
so
go.
I'm working on the French and Indian War right now and just listening to it and going, all right, 2 hours of traffic, hit play, go on Audible, and there we go.
Yeah.
That's the way I got to do it.
That's amazing. All right, so magic, we kind of been talking around it the whole bit, so let's talk about that. So,
sure.
Obviously, I want to see some things and all of that. But let's do some of the
the nitty gritty, the housekeeping. Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is something that an entrepreneur can learn from a magician?
you guys can learn, all the entrepreneurs out there, magic can elevate any occasion. It's not just for kids. Magic will, as you are aware, because you've seen me do magic in many situations, and we're going to be working together next Friday, whenever this airs. But magic will elevate every occasion. You could have a networking meeting, and if you got people walking around being awkward because no one knows how to talk to people, a magician will go around, just like at a wedding. We'll go around and we'll bring people together. Hey, you want to see this cool thing? And we can really ease the transitions from the talking or from the meeting people. That's one thing. We can be used as an MC. I do MC services as well. And if you got that banquet night and you need to keep things cooking, bring one of us in. We'll throw in a trick. We'll throw in audience participation, make it work. We elevate every occasion, and we're not just for kids. We can do employee appreciation events, employee rapport building, team building events. We're great at that too, because I speak for our company. I've designed tricks for like the Home and Garden Show. I designed a couple of tricks for them, and we can make magic work for just about anything. So entrepreneurs, keep that in mind. If you want something different, and you want a really awesome magician to come in and make it elevated, give me a ring.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I had you at one of our speed networking events, and, it was my first event, and I was whirling dervish trying to get everything sorted and the whole thing, and everybody was taken care of, and you were just doing your thing and going between the different groups, and you were kind of like the secondary host, you know, in that. And so my people were taken care of, they were engaged, they were welcomed, all of these things, so that, I could focus on making sure that the food was out, and, greeting people at the door, and, making sure everybody had their name tags, and,
of course,
the not so exciting things, and obviously got great results, and people were really appreciative of what you're able to do. And then we went to dinner afterwards, and you kept doing different things in the whole.
I never stop. I just love it. I love it.
I think that's.
But what I like to tell my clients, I think I told you this prior, is I want to be your least worry. I want to be the easiest vendor you'll work with. You tell me where to be, when to be there, and we make the event just work a little bit behind the scenes. Weddings, birthdays, we do all that. My clients call me and go, "Oh my God, where are we going to put you?" I said, "Just show me where and tell me when, and give me the crowd, and we're good." That's what you're paying me for, and then people will walk away going, "Whoa!" And that's the goal. They want to say, "I will remember that experience." Yep. I will remember that experience. That's what we push.
I love that.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, back to my, 80s time, I remember David Copperfield did this trick where it was on the TV. And there was all these different cards, and they all looked different, and the whole thing.
And you moved your finger around the screen.
And you moved the finger, and, I didn't have the means or interest to actually learn it, but it's something I've always been just in awe of. So... obviously a magician doesn't, share their secrets.
Nope.
But, when it comes to magic, I guess, what is your goal that the person on the other end receives, engages with, understands? Like, what's your goal as a magician?
I want to amaze, astonish, make them believe in magic for just a minute and remember it. Many people have come up to me, thankfully, at a networking event, or called me or sent me an email and said, "My friend saw you perform and loved the show and remembers the Two of Hearts, or remembers the flower, or remembers has the memory. They have it on their phone of their 10-year-old on stage." Yep. Ain't nothing better than that. That's why I do what I do. And that's why people should bring in a magician to make those moments. I mean, I could show you a card trick. Anyone can do a card trick. Self-working card. Anyone can do that. It's making the memory out of it. It's making that moment of astonishment that will stay in your memory forever. And you can go back to that and go, "How the hell did he do that? How the hell?" I remember that trick that you're talking about. And I actually recently, my wife and I went to a magic convention in Las Vegas, and there was a person there that specialized in kids entertainment. And she showed us that trick. I can't say anything about it because it's secret, but she showed us that trick, explained where it came from, and showed us how to take that trick and make it for a kid's show, a family show, even a corporate event. It'll kill. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, so Copperfield do that." Okay.
Yeah.
He was actually there too. I got to I got to see him. He was too busy to meet, but yeah.
That's amazing.
But it's those moments.
Yeah.
And even we get it. I saw an artist perform there called Christian Grace, and he showed his newest magic trick, and I'm like, I'm not buying anything. And I saw that trick. I'm like, you son of a... He fooled me so badly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I'll say too, I think, just thinking about what you do and how you do it and that whole thing is I think entrepreneurs could learn about those wow moments in their customer journey.
Yes.
And making it memorable and, having that, sort of back and forth to make those memories, to make it so that you're top of mind. So, kind of just talking through it with you, like that's the thing I think entrepreneurs could also kind of learn is those moments that you can actually go that one step further to wow.
Absolutely. Completely agree. I love to discuss with my clients ways that we can do that for something. A lot of my clients call me and say, I've never hired a magician. I'm an event planner, or I was put in charge of this event. I go, let's sit down and talk turkey. Is it, what kind of event is it? Mm-hmm. Do you want a stage show? Yep. Is it a smaller venue? How can I help you make this the most amazing event possible? I do a lot of these. And, I can tell you where you want to put me. What part of the evening? Do you want me during cocktail hour, pushing a show later? Do you want me to finish out the evening with a great send them off thing? Do you want me at the beginning of the show? Where am I going to be most effective? And how can we ensure that the audience has the most memorable, fun evening possible? I love to work with my clients on that.
And I mean, just my experience too, asking me kind of what I needed and where, all of that. It was, like you said, you want to be easy. It has been easy. So definitely recommend if you want so to spice up your events to work with CJ. Very easy, very amenable, and open to those different circumstances and making the events memorable. So we got about a minute. Show me some magic.
I'm going to show you something real fast. Okay. Move this forward a wee bit here without breaking anything.
Yep.
Hold there your hands like that. Perfection. Okay. Give them a squeeze. Make sure they're real. They are sponge balls.
They are real.
Excellent. So in a second, you're going to hang on to the sponge ball. I'm talking death grip one.
Okay, death grip.
So I got this one. Now for this one, loosen the grip a second. Okay. Do you want to use this hand like you were using, or do you want to use that hand? Which hand for this
Left-handed.
one? Left hand, death grip.
Death
Piano
grip.
playing, left, death grip.
Okay.
Put this hand on top. Okay. Now don't move.
Okay. Wow.
Slowly open up your hand like that.
No way. That's insane.
And that's what we do. And this works on CEOs, kids, everyone.
Wow.
I kid you not. I get made fun of by the magic community for using these. I love these things.
That's amazing.
Yep. They work for every environment. They're fantastic. Wow. Yep.
Yeah. No idea how you did it.
That's what we try. That's what we try.
I love that. Well, this is just one of the many myriad of tricks that you have. Really excited to have you at the event. And like I said, you want to spice something up. You want to have somebody to jump in, something a little unexpected. Definitely recommend working with CJ. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today, talking about your journey and piano and music and all the things. It was such a joy.
Right back to you. Thank you for having me. And you're a joy to work with. As always, hire her for everything you can. She's fantastic. She's forgotten more about business and marketing than most people have ever learned. So
I love that.
So
awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. So this is another episode of Nicole's Business Notebook, where I bring together my business friends so that we can all learn from them, learn from their expertise and wisdom, and maybe even a magic trick or two. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Nicole's Business Notebook. Subscribe and follow for more tips, insider secrets, and hard-earned wisdom so that we can all do better business together. See you next time.